busy week that airlines have had in the news. Delta definitely didn't want to be in the news for this one, talking about the cancellations that since last Friday, they have canceled 6,500 flights. And then we'll be talking a little bit about Southwest as well, making some big announcements. So we want to bring our next guest here of this hour to help break it all down for us. This is Kyle Potter with Thrifty Traveler. Thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I want to start with Delta and really the week from hell that they've had on these cancellations because of the CrowdStrike incident that happened. Catch us up to date. Where are they right now?
You know, the week from hell for Delta and probably more importantly for Delta fortunately has ended. You know, as of this morning, Delta has canceled very few flights. So they are back on track. And now it really is about damage control and response. How is Delta going to make things right with their customers who were, you know, delayed or canceled across the country? I mean, millions of Americans' travel plans over the last week have been disrupted. And I just want to put this in number that you threw out, you know, the number of flights that Delta canceled going back to Friday morning. In the last 6 days, Delta has canceled more flights than it canceled in 2018 and 2019 combined. This was truly unprecedented and massive.
Yeah, it truly was there. And when you think about it, I mean, it's something similar to 2022, what Southwest was dealing with when they had the issues and really couldn't come back online. How does that compare from Delta and Southwest, what they had a couple of years ago?
You know, the situations are eerily similar in that, you know, when Southwest, you know, heading into Christmas of 2022, just like every other, you know, airline in the country, got really hammered by a winter storm. And just could not get back up to running and had to cancel and delay flights by the thousands as a result of that. In this case, clear skies, but you know, the software outage last Friday morning that affected most major United States carriers, you know, most of them were able to get back up and running pretty smoothly within the next couple of days, if not within hours. And Delta really just fell apart. Now, by the numbers, Delta's meltdown this past week was not as severe. You know, looking back at Southwest in Christmas 2022, they canceled almost 17,000 flights in about a 7 to 10 day span. So by the numbers, you know, Southwest was certainly worse, but that is not to excuse or downplay, you know, what Delta passengers have been through over these last 6-7 days, because it is truly atrocious.
And what has Delta been trying to do for their customers during this time?
You know, the main one is just trying to refund travelers whose Delta flights were canceled and you know, those passengers decided to just give up on their trips. So there is a law, federal law, that requires airlines to issue a refund, not just a travel voucher or a credit, when the airline cancels that flight. So that's definitely the big one. Just within the last 24 hours, Delta has confirmed that on top of, you know, covering additional expenses via reimbursement for things like additional hotel nights and meals for passengers who got stranded, they will also cover the costs for travelers who booked a flight on Southwest, on United, on American this past week as a result of all of these disruptions and not being able to fly Delta where they needed to go. So those are really the two big things. And it will be, you know, probably a matter of a couple of weeks before all of these millions of Delta passengers are made whole. But, you know, I think we do need to take Delta at their word that that work is ongoing.
Yeah, so true. And as those customers continue to try to get it all straightened out with Delta, I want to talk a little bit about the PR angle of it all right now. And you have the CEO that's trying to deal with it, but at the same time wants to go to the Olympics and jets over to Paris. How is all that looking in a PR image world here?
You know, it's not what I would have done, but I'm also not an airline CEO for a reason. Look, there is an argument to be made, and you know, I think Delta has made it, that, you know, the CEO of the company is not the person who should be running the airline. That is not the CEO's job to make sure the operation is running smoothly, and that is not the best use of Ed Bastian's time. Delta also pointed out that, you know, their CEO did not fly to Paris for the Olympics until after things were running much more smoothly. That said, this sends the wrong message to Delta passengers, some of whom were still sleeping on airport floors, many of whom are still waiting for their lost belongings to be delivered back to them because Delta, has mountains of baggage at carousels across the country. To see that the CEO of the company that failed them is going off to the Olympics overseas sends the wrong message at the worst possible time. So it's I'll be honest, it's a head scratcher to go ahead with this trip at the time that they did.
Yeah, I don't think the Delta customers would be giving the CEO any gold medals for that one right there at all. All right, I want to switch gears now and talk about Southwest because they made a big announcement. Of course, we all know about their open seating policy. They are going to be ditching that soon. What's the latest? What do we know? And when is that going to take effect?
Yeah, this is big, so for, basically the company's entire history, even as, every other airline in the country and around the globe has moved to, a sequential boarding process with different zones and picking seats, most importantly. Southwest has done things completely differently. It's an open seating policy where, depending on when you board the plane, you get to pick the best of what's left. So if you board the plane first, you get to pick that first seat in the aisle. If you board that plane last, you're probably going to be stuck in a middle seat at the back of the plane. And now Southwest is saying, we're not going to do that anymore. So, the details of how this is going to be implemented and more importantly, when are a little bit up in the air. I think we're expecting that passengers flying Southwest won't see the ability to pick seats until at least sometime next year. But this is monumental. Southwest is an airline that for decades, going back to its founding, has really done things much differently than the rest of the airline industry. And this is a big, big change that puts Southwest more in line with the rest of the United States carriers.
Yeah, I want to get your take because it never seemed like it was time saving just having that open seating policy because you would see so much on Southwest where you had the C groups coming in and boy, they always thought that they could get two seats in the back when they were like C50. It's like it's not happening. You're going to be in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know that it's about saving time so much as, really kind of joining the 21st century. People expect to be able to pick their seats and are willing to pay for it. And that's probably the more important wrinkle here is that, Southwest, despite decades of turning profit after profit after profit, coming out of the worst of the pandemic, they have been struggling financially and they need to find ways to make more money. So by creating an assigned seating system, they can do what every airline in the country has been doing for years, if not decades, which is charge people for picking a seat. So I think this is the start of a much broader change and a way for Southwest to do what, investors expect of them, which is to find more ways to make more money.
Yeah, that's so true. So now they'll be able to really have like you see so much on American Airlines and United, where if you want that special seat, it's going to cost just a little bit more.
Exactly. And, at the same time that they've announced that they're going to move away from this open seating policy, they're also saying that, over the next couple of years, they're going to start adding extra legroom seats to every plane in their fleet. So today, every Southwest plane is basically identical from back to front. And starting sometime next year, we're going to start to see extra legroom seats, which are going to be exactly what you just mentioned. There are going to be the most expensive seats on the plane. And by pairing that with the ability to actually pick a seat, it's a way for Southwest to, add more to its bottom line.
So true. Yeah, it has been definitely a busy week for these two airlines. And Kyle, thanks so much for coming on and breaking it all down for us. We appreciate it here. It's always exciting when things are changing around, and we'll see what is next as always. But Kyle, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Anytime, Mike. Take care.